Listeria hysteria. Hello, my name is Delilah Borges, and this video is about the bacteria named Listeria, a genus of bacteria that includes the pathogenic species Listeria monocytogenes. The issue with Listeria is Listeria infection, in which bacterium penetrates the digestive tract to cause systemic invasive listeriosis. Infections are potentially fatal to susceptible individuals. L monocytogenes usually enters the human body through vegetables, meat, unpasteurized milk, soft cheeses, and other processed foods contaminated after processing. Listeriosis is relevant to us in the present day because it can cause gastrointestinal disease, invasive septicemia, blood poisoning by bacteria, meningitis, or even death to susceptible individuals. Classification of Listeria. Domain, bacteria. Phylum, Bacillota. Class, Bacilli. Order, Bacillales. Family, Listeriaceae. Genus, Listeria. History behind this nomenclature. In 1867, English surgeon Joseph Lister published a scientific paper proposing that his fellow surgeons clean their hands and instruments before operating on patients. While overcoming scientific skepticism regarding novel ideas can sometimes be challenging, when post-surgical infection took a nosedive, Lister was vindicated. In 1927, on the 100th anniversary of Lister's birth, scientist Harvey Pryor was looking for a name for a foodborne bacterium he had isolated from a dead gerbil found in South Africa, and Lister had also had an interest in the isolation and growing of microorganisms. Pryor chose to honor the bacteria and Lister with the name Listeria monocytogenes. How does listeriosis spread? Listeriosis can be spread by eating food contaminated with the bacteria, such as through raw unpasteurized milk or contaminated vegetables. The bacteria may be passed from mother to fetus during pregnancy or directly to a newborn at the time of birth. Listeria can be detected in a variety of raw foods that become contaminated after processing, such as soft cheeses, hot dogs, and deli meats. The news article I'm using is called "Sandwiches and Fruit Cups Sold on Amtrak Are Recalled Over Listeria Risk" by Emily Schmall, published by the New York Times on February 7, 2023. Recently, 400 food products from Fresh Ideation Food Group were recalled, some of which were sold on Amtrak trains and in vending machines in the month of January 2023. The company, Fresh Ideation Food Group, recalled breakfast sandwiches, muffins, yogurt, and fresh produce, and other items sold from January 24th to January 30th because the products may have the potential to be contaminated with Listeria bacteria, the FDA said. A major contributing factor in this persistence is the organism's ability to form difficult to remove biofilms on the surfaces of processing equipment. The recall applies to products with the sell-through date from January 31st to February 6th. The affected products were distributed in Connecticut, the District of Columbia, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Virginia. Food products sold on Amtrak trains were among those recalled. The peer-reviewed journal title is called Comparative Experimental Infection of Listeria monocytogenes and Listeria evanovi with bovine trophoblasts, published May 3, 2017. This study demonstrated for the first time the susceptibility of bovine trophoblastic cells to L. monocytogenes and L. evanovi, Listeria infection. For this study, bovine, cow, pregnant uteruses at the middle and final stages of gestation were obtained at a local slaughterhouse for preparation of CAM, chorioallantoic membrane explant. Chorioallantoic membrane is an extra-embryonic membrane. Its main function is to exchange gases and nutrients, which is supported by a dense capillary network. Due to its extensive vascularization and its ease of use, the CAM is a widely utilized research tool. The bovine CAM explants are inoculated with 3 species that can cause listeriosis. The 3 species that were used in the study are L. monocytogenes, L. evanovi, and L. inocoa. Observed in bovine trophoblast, which is a thin layer of cells that helps a developing embryo attach to a wall of the uterus, protects the embryo, and forms part of the placenta, from the CAM explants. Listeria-induced abortion in cattle is commonly observed during the 3rd trimester of pregnancy. Therefore, compared the kinetics of L. monocytogene infection in CAM explants attained at the 2nd and 3rd trimester of pregnancy. 5 placentas of cows in the 2nd trimester and 5 in the 3rd trimester were used in this experiment. The number of L. monocytogenes, CFU, which is colony-forming units, recovered from bovine CAM explants 1, 4, and 8 hours post-infection were similar when comparing the 2nd and 3rd trimesters of gestation. These results demonstrate that L. monocytogenes invades and multiplies in the trophoblastic cells regardless of gestational stage. L. evanovi is known to cause abortion in ruminants. Conversely, invasion and multiplication of different species of Listeria were evaluated and compared, indicating there is no difference in colony-forming unit numbers, indicating that there was no difference in invasion of bovine trophoblast cells by these 3 species. In these results, CFU numbers of L. monocytogenes and L. evanovi were approximately 1 log higher than of those of L. inocoa, which was unable to multiply in bovine trophoblastic cells. In conclusion, this study has demonstrated for the first time that L. monocytogenes, L. evanovi, are able to invade and multiply intracellularly in bovine trophoblast, whereas L. inocoa invades but it is unable to multiply in the cellular environment. Also, CAM explants are a suitable model to expand the knowledge on the molecular pathogenic mechanisms that are involved in Listeria-induced abortion in ruminants. Frequency occurrence of listeriosis and number affected during the time period. Listeriosis is usually an uncommon disease in the general population in North America and Western Europe. Listeriosis is far more common in domestic animals, cattle, sheep. Listeriosis is sporadic, rare, and scattered in occurrence, more common in cold climates. Prevalence of listeriosis. According to CDC, there are on average 9.7 cases of invasive listeriosis per million in the United States, 16,000 per year, and 27% of the 16,000 were pregnant women. In the U.S., the Center of Disease Control and Prevention estimates about 16,000 people get listeriosis each year and 260 die. The hospitalization rate is 94%. Out of 16,000, 15,000 get hospitalized. Diagnosis of disease, signs, and symptoms. The diagnosis of any form of listeriosis is confirmed only if L. monocytogenes has been isolated from blood, spinal fluid, or amniotic fluid. It takes 2 days for the organism to be cultured in the laboratory. Mild symptoms of listeriosis are fever, muscle aches, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. If the more severe form of invasive listeriosis happens, symptoms may include headache, stiff neck, confusion, loss of balance, and convulsions. Severity and duration of the disease. Depending on the severity of the disease, symptoms may last from days to several weeks. Listeria infections can lead to meningitis, meaning the inflammation of membranes surrounding the brain. Most people with invasive listeriosis require hospital care. When listeriosis occurs during pregnancy, it can result in miscarriage, stillbirth, or newborn death. For the very young, the elderly, and the immunocompromised, listeriosis can result in death. Pattern of disease. Listeriosis manifests primarily as abortion, septicemia, or central nervous system infections, with a high case fatality rate in all patient groups. Main route of transmission is oral. The official discovery of Listeria microorganisms dates to 1924 when E.D.G. Murray, R.A. Webb, and M.B.R. Swan isolate L-monocytogenes as the etiological agent of the septicemic disease affecting rabbits and guinea pigs in their laboratory at the Cambridge, England. Listeria can be found in soil, water, and animal feces. People can get infected by eating raw vegetables that have been contaminated from soil with manure. Treatment for listeriosis. Listeriosis is treated with antibiotics. The most prescribed treatment is intravenous ampicillin. A lot of the time, ampicillin in combination with gentamicin. The way to reduce listeriosis is to cook raw food from animal sources such as beef, pork, and poultry thoroughly. Wash raw vegetables thoroughly before eating. Keep uncooked meats separate from vegetables and from cooked foods and ready-to-eat foods. Chill food at the right temperature. Clean your fridge. Use ready-to-eat foods quickly. And keep good hand hygiene. Wash your hands. Mechanism of pathogenicity of the microorganism. Listeria organisms pass directly from cell to cell by a mechanism involving whole cell actin polymerization, meaning use form of actin based on motility to spread directly from the cytoplasm of an infected whole cell without exposure to the extracellular milieu, which makes this an intracellular pathogen, suggesting that the microenvironment of the intracellular space provides the Listeria pathogen's protection of the influence of the extracellular defenses of the host, which benefits this microorganisms to keep growing. That concludes our video.